Hi, guys. Welcome to my
Hi,
podcast. This is my lovely friend Allison. I know Allison Buchman, right? Buchman.
Buchman.
Buchman. I always
It's
get it
okay.
wrong.
I can't say your
Okay.
name either, so fair.
So anyway, I know her from church and a mom's group that I used to attend to when my youngest was a baby. She's not a baby anymore. She's almost 8. So we've stayed in touch since then. And Allison is a stay-at-home mom, but she also has an education. So I wanted to kind of pick her brain about what she's doing and how education has played a role in that, whether she'll go back, all this kind of fun stuff. So, Allison, do you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Allison Buchman, and yeah, Annalise and I know each other. You're going to correct me after this. I'm going to make you force me to say your name correctly because I want to do that. I just suck at it right now. Um, so we know each other from Jump, which is like a church moms group, and I have two girls. Felicity is 9.5, and Caroline is 7.5. The halves are very important at this stage. We also have a dog and a cat, and as of yesterday, 4 fish. We had 2 fish previously, and now we got 2 more.
Wow, you
Goldfish, just a lot of
got a little
goldfish.
farm going on there.
I know,
Little
right?
inner city farm. Well, it's not inner city, but you know what I mean, like
Yeah,
little
a little
township
urban
farm.
farm.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. And yeah, you said I have an education. I do. I have a college degree from SBSU. I have a marketing degree. Um, and I mean, I was pretty hot stuff in college. I was good at marketing, and then I went on and did event coordinating with that for a couple of years at different places. We moved around. And then as soon as our second was born, daycare is just wildly expensive. And even, having worked somewhere for a while, it just, the math wasn't mathing. So decided to stay home, and it definitely has its ups and downs. Overall, I love it, and I don't think I would go back to work. I don't know, life's a long time, but yeah, overall, I really do love being a stay-at-home mom.
Oh, awesome. Um, so how is education important in your family growing up? Did you grow up with mom, dad, brother?
Yeah, so I grew up. Well, my parents were married most of my life. They got divorced when I was in high school, I think. And both of them are college educated. My mom's a nurse, and my dad is an engineer. So my mom stayed home with us growing up, but then when my parents separated, my mom went back to work and has got a bunch of certifications since then. She actually had to go back to school to get her nursing degree again because she was a nurse in Canada and didn't go back to be a nurse in the United States. So she had to totally re-educate herself in the
Oh, wow.
field where she was working for a long time. So that was cool to watch my mom go back to school for a skill that she already had, but to like put in the time and do it all over again. And she's gotten a whole bunch of letters behind her name now from different classes and certifications, and she works in cancer research right now. So it's pretty
Oh, that's
cool.
exciting. Wow.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like education wasn't even an option for you? Was something you were gonna do because your parents had done it?
Yeah, it felt like school, like going to secondary school, like to college, was sort of the expected path. I feel like when we were going to school, like at that age, it was just like everyone goes to college, everyone goes to college, everyone goes to college. Like you have to go to college. There's not other paths. Like, um, and the area I grew up in downstate was a pretty affluent area, even though we were fine, but we definitely weren't like the Rochester rich.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was definitely culturally where I was kind of the thing to do to go to college. And I mean, I did well on my testing and I got good grades in school. So I got a full ride scholarship to SVSU.
Oh, that's
My
awesome.
tuition, yeah, my tuition was paid for all the 4 years, and my parents helped me out with room and board. So, um, I mean, I went to the cheapest state school. SVSU was the only place I applied to because I just knew that's where I wanted to be. And So yeah, it wasn't even really an option for me not to go to college. And I'm glad I did because that's where I met Scott. And I learned a lot, not just about marketing, but about like being a person and
Mhm.
meeting people who are different than me, which I think is one of the big values of education that's not well understood or appreciated.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, so do you think you would like to re-enter the workforce someday? Or, I mean, because we were kind of talking about it privately, you and I, and we were like, yeah, it sounds like a nice gig, but I wasn't cut out to be a stay-at-home mom, so but I know you love it and you have a passion for it, and, so just kinda explain to me, like, what makes you stay home? Like, why don't you just go back to work and make more money and go on tons of vacations and live like rich people?
Yeah, that sounds fun, but like getting up every day and going somewhere where someone else tells me what to do and when to be there and when I can eat and go to the bathroom and when I can leave sounds terrible. Like if I had to, I would have no problem doing it. But and I worked until Caroline was born, my second. So like I hustled, and Scott was a teacher at the time when I first had Felicity. So he stayed home with her in the summer, and I was the one going to work. So like he wrote his entire master's thesis with her like sleeping in a baby Bjorn on his chest.
Mhm.
And so we definitely have done the like role reversal, Mr. Mom, which is just called being a father, by the way,
Mhm.
thing. Like, so, we've done it, and I definitely have worked, but I just don't, I don't know. And again, we talked about this privately, but like life is constant change, and that's all it is. Like the only thing that we can depend on is that this season will end and something new will come along, and then we'll
Mhm.
have to completely rethink our choices, right? But as of right now, I don't think I would want to back to work. I love being a stay-at-home mom in that I actually love cleaning. I hate cooking, but luckily my husband loves cooking. But I love doing house chores, but it's so much more than that. Like I manage most of the finances and like household inventory. Like, it's the classic mom thing. Like, mom can always find something. Like, yes, I do have a catalog in my brain of where everything is. Like, I know where that pair of socks is because you wore it last Wednesday and you took them off on the way home from gymnastics class and they're in the back of the van. Like, I know all those things. And I do take a lot of pride in managing that aspect of the mental load for my family because it's something I'm really good at. I have a really good like logistical brain. I love lists and order and like categories and everything in its place and stuff like that. So I feel like it's a good use of my skill set to like I can look at a pile of mess and toys and like be able to break it down and go like, okay, each one of these things is going to get put away and in a certain place. And I don't know, I feel like it's a great use of my skills and it's a way of loving my family um, to handle and make things run smoothly. And I don't mean that in a patriarchal way where like that should be the mom's role or the woman's role. But me personally, my skill set, I love doing all that stuff. Do I get overwhelmed with it? Yes, 100%. And my therapist recently challenged me to untangle my ability to have a clean home, make healthy meals, which I suck at, and manage all the details to untangle that from how I love my family,
Mhm.
because that's not my job. I can love them in lots of other ways that don't involve me being a failure if the house is a mess, or me being a failure if I don't have certain foods on the table or whatever. So um, I've been working on that because I've been married for 13 years, and you know, we get in our ruts certainly. So I've been trying to do a lot more creative things and just keep myself charged. And when I'm charged up, I do a good job taking care of my family. So long story long, I don't think I want to go back to work.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. It's interesting to see the other side. I'm not sure if you watched the interview, but last week I interviewed a female engineer, and it's kind of like the opposite end, and I still believe that you have things and gifts to share with the world that, normally people would brush off to, oh, she's just a stay-at-home mom. What does she know?
Right.
But
Right.
um, so you volunteer with the Girl Scouts. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I love doing Girl Scouts. It's a lot, but I freaking love every single one of those girls. I have two other co-leaders, so that's definitely not a journey to be taken alone. Having a Girl Scout troop. Maybe a smaller troop would be fine, but we have 15 in our troop, and so it's 14 fourth graders, and then Caroline, because she was always what we used to call a tag along, which is like a younger sibling that's not in Girl Scouts, which is also the name of a Girl Scout cookie. So it's sort of like a pun thing.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so she would always be tagging along on our stuff. So we sort of absorbed her into our troop this year so she could have the Girl Scout experience, because there's no way I could run two troops, but there's also no way I could continue to kind of gatekeep this Girl Scout experience from her.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, I love Girl Scouts. I love um, being with them. Like, I love creating relationships with them. And I think it's so important for girls, especially, but all kids, to have grown ups besides their parents that are safe, that are on their team, that are rooting for them, that are going to look them in the eye and go, I know you have better than that. Like, I know you can do better than that. But also to be somewhere safe where, you know, something goes wrong or things are hard at school, or I mean, sometimes my Girl Scouts fight with each other and that's fine, but just to be a safe, encouraging grown up, to tell them, like, especially as, I mean, these girls are 9 and 10 now, so they're starting puberty and everything is changing, and hormones and all of that, and someone to tell them, like, you're beautiful and you're worthy just the way you are, and you're smart and you're capable, and look at all these things you're trying, and you know you can only fail if you're trying something new and scary, and that's a wonderful thing. And
Mhm.
so it's like my own little corner of the world to, like, I don't know, just empower them. And I mean, to be able to give my daughters a group of girls who have gone through these experiences with them year after year after year. I mean, if you're with a group of 15 girls who are constantly trying new things together, going
Mhm.
through, staying overnight away from mom and dad at Girl Scout camp, or, going on field trips and being in new spaces. And I mean, we're taking them to the courthouse in a couple of weeks, and they're going to learn from a friend of ours, inside of government, how things work, and, go behind the scenes. And just, they're going to have this core group of people that may drift apart, may break apart, but they'll always have this little pod of girls who they've been through a lot of good stuff with. And I think that's the best gift I can give them, because you can't be with your kids all the time.
Mhm.
And so, on one side, for me to be a safe person for the other girls in my troop, who hopefully parents can trust me with and know that I do love their kids in a really, like, parental and friend way. And then to also be able to give my girls this group of people, and my other two co-leaders, as safe grown-ups for them,
Mhm.
um, I think is just such a cool and important thing. And it's definitely hard sometimes. I mean, they come out of school wired. Like,
Mhm.
we meet after school, and so they come flying down the hallways, starving, with tons of energy and stories. And some days all we get done is cartwheels and snacks, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Um, but it's really important to me, and I think it's a special, cool thing.
Yes. So, I actually have been asking all of my guests. I mean to ask them in the way I'm going to ask you, but I feel like I already know your answer. So, like, my question for everyone that comes on the show is, what are you doing to make the world a better place? To me, from
Mm.
an outsider's view, this is what you're doing to make the world a better place. And it's a very, what might be seen as small, but it's very tangible. It's very I have a friend who has her daughter in Girl Scouts and probably has the same experience as you, and she works at Disney, so like she's
Oh.
crazy busy and still makes time to do this Girl Scout thing. So, um, I Bree did Girl Scouts like 1 year. She just hated selling the cookies, and
I get that.
so I wish she had stuck with it. And right now, I feel like it's almost too late. My kids can't get into these things. What would you say to somebody who's looking, like a fifth grader who's looking to join Girl Scouts? Would you still encourage them, or is this something that you should start when you're in second grade or whatever?
I think if you can jump in, you should jump in. There, Girl Scouts is one of those things where you kind of get in or you get out what you put in, right? And not just for the girls, but it's so based on what the troop leader is able to give to it, because it is a lot to plan programming and field trips and coordinate travel and permission slips, and there's a lot of logistic things with Girl Scouts that have to be done, which is why with my skill set and also being a stay-at-home mom, both of my other co-leaders work at the schools, so they both work, and so a lot of the time I'm the one doing the running around and stuff. So finding a good troop is critical, because I know not every girl is going to have like a blockbuster experience with Girl Scouts, but I think you can get this same thing from other stuff. There's 4-H, and girls can also join what they call BSA, or Boy Scouts of America. It's just Scouts now. So girls can join Boy Scouts if you don't value or you don't prefer the like gender separated education, which is its whole own can of worms. But you could also get the same stuff from sports teams or church classes or, other stuff. So whatever your kid is interested in, I think jumping in and having a group doesn't have to come from Girl Scouts, because if there's not a good troop, then it may not be a good fit. If she has friends who are already in Girl Scouts, I would get in. I really would. Not selling cookies isn't for everybody, and I get that. My girls are really, really good at selling cookies, and last year they were the top cookie sales in the county. And I had I think over the last 2 years, my troop has sold like 8,000 boxes of cookies. So
Oh, wow, that's
it's
awesome.
pretty, yeah, it's nuts. It's absurd. But because of that, then Girl Scouts doesn't have to be a financial drain on the family. So all the snacks are paid for. We paid for, they just got their new junior vests, and vests and all the stuff, the patches and whatever, that can be expensive, but all of that is paid for because of the girls fundraising through cookies. The parents and families didn't have to pay a dime for the girls to go to camp for the weekend. We recently did horseback riding with them, and that was completely free to the girls because of their fundraising. So, nobody likes knocking on doors and calling people and saying, please buy this, because everyone and their sister is selling something, and it's exhausting, and I get that. But I hate fundraisers, but I do see the return with the Girl Scouts, because we manage the bank account, right? So we see the money come in and it's sitting there, and we're like, this money that the girls get from selling the cookies it directly translates to opportunities for them, and for them to try things. We're going to make a visit to a professional kitchen soon for them to earn their meal making badge, and they're going to learn from a professional chef educator how to make simple meals that is accessible for a fourth grader.
How do I join this troop? And is
Right.
36 too old? It sounds like so
There
much
is,
fun.
it's gonna be rad. It's gonna be so cool. We have a lot of fun stuff coming down the pipe, and the older they get, the more they can do cool stuff. Younger girls, daisies, have a ton of fun, but the older they get, the cooler of stuff they get to do. So yeah, I think it's good for kids to do something,
Yes,
so that they can be
absolutely.
challenged and so they can create relationships, because it's hard out there.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just gonna wrap up real quick. Did you want to leave with any words of wisdom or encouragement or anything you want to share?
Wisdom. Yeah, more than anything, just forgive yourself, because it's going to be hard sometimes. And, I tell my kids, all the time. I think everyone's just doing their best, and sometimes your best just isn't good, and sometimes what you have to give isn't much, and that's okay, because
Mhm.
if all you have is 5% and you gave your 5%, you gave 100%.
Mhm.
Um, so forgive yourself, and just know that everybody else is thinking about themselves far more than they're thinking about you, and they're given their 5%, and some days that's just has to be enough.
Mhm.
I don't know. That's all I got for
Awesome.
wisdom.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I hope you have a great day. I'm gonna end the recording.
Okay.